Let's see. I don't know. Will I be able to? Will I not be able to? Okay. Yes. All right. I have video and audio. Once again, it's the Nazarite bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore. If indeed I'll be able to do this live stream, and if not, then I'll just say goodnight. If the babies, if the kids wake up again, I'll just call it a night. But for now, yay! Here I am once again. Take two. Are they asleep? Answer the poll, right? Take a look at the poll. Let me know. Ariel from 144K is here. Good to see you, my man. Good to see you. I was about the intent of avoiding grapes. Thought it was a discipline around indulgence, taken literally at the time, but no tea then? Well, what do you mean? What does grapes have to do with tea? Tea is a plant, grapes are a fruit. Thoughts on the Jewish tradition of updating application? I don't know what you mean, my man. Matthew, can you be a bit more precise on what you mean? I'm ignorant. Dumb it down for me. Remember who you're talking to, right? It's just me. Okay. So, look, it is about indulgence, but wine is two-faceted, right? There is the joyful and elevating and ascension, thing that having to do with wine, and then there is the lazy, drunk, forgetful, waking up in a pool of your own vomit sort of wine. Both of them are mentioned, right? It says that wine gladdens a man's heart, right, and makes your face shine more than oil, it says in the Psalms. So grapes have those two facets. Wine has that two facets. It's also dual in the sense that it's red and that it's white, and that's a whole other thing. But with the grapes, the grapes basically represent the left hand, right? The grapes represent divine judgment. Grapes represent that part that we call din, right? The restriction and the hand that stops, as opposed to the hand that's always giving on the right. And it's that sort of, right? It's the judgment, it's the left side, it's the other side, as it's known in the Zohar, the Sidra Achra, that is represented in the grapes. Not entirely. Okay. But for instance, priests, right? Priests can't drink wine when they are serving, but Nazarites can't drink wine at all. It's that sort of thing. The priests, when they are serving at the temple, are not allowed to drink wine for the same reason, only the Nazarite does it all the time. Something like that. But yeah, you can look into this. You can look into the spiritual significance of grapes. The Zohar also says that grapes were actually the fruit of knowledge of good and evil. So that should give you an idea of what the Nazariteship is about. Hussein is here. How you doing, Hussein? Good to see you. Salam alaikum. Is permitted by halacha having Thomas dreadlocks? Shalom, mate. I don't know what Thomas dreadlocks are. Again, you'll have to tell me. I'm ignorant. Okay, right now the vote is more for no. They will not cause me to end the live stream. I'm curious to see what will happen. So no, I don't know what Thomas dreadlocks are. Somebody enlighten me in the chat. Sorry. Those? Oh, those. Yes, it is permitted by halacha to have Nazarites have dreads, or they can separate with their fingers, but I chose not to. The thing is that if you are a man or a woman, right, and you make the dreadlocks and you form the knots or you crochet the hair, then that's not permitted in the sense that it is permitted, but when you go, let's say, to a mikveh, right, the mikveh water does not get into all of the hair, and so at times people would say that if you create the dreadlocks, a woman who goes to the mikveh at the end of her cycle, she will not be purified by the mikveh, and she would have to comb it out. However, if it's a Nazarite woman and it's organic dreadlocks, Nazarite dreadlocks, it is permissible. It is permitted. What's the topic of discussion? Good question, the hacking mind. You tell me, what is it you want to discuss? Let's get it on. Bet this dude gets the best acid in shrooms, Larry Bird says. No, I do, but I don't partake of it much. But yes, I dare say that I have gotten some good acid in shrooms in my day. Dude, wash your hair, that's gross, says Dabot. Thanks, I appreciate that, man. I am. I'm trying to be as gross as I can be. You don't want to know how gross I can actually get. And if this is just the hair on my head, you don't want to know what the rest of me looks like. I'll be nice, you're Jewish, much respect, says TikTok Patriot. Hey, you don't have to be, but if you're gonna be nice, more power to you. It's better to be nice. Of course, unless you have a reason to get on someone's bad side or someone gets on your bad side, and then by all means, you don't have to be nice. There's niceness and there's kindness. To be nice is not a great thing sometimes. To be kind is a good thing. And even that has its limits. Hey, bum Jew. Hey, Miss Metast 100. Hi. Hello. I am a bum Jew. I'm a bum Jew, and I have a Jew bum. Huh? You get it? You get it? Okay. You're so amazing. Hope you get blessed, Marianne? No, Marine. I can't read that right now. Okay, but I am blessed. I am blessed with every single day, with every single breath, with every step I take. Many times, unless like I'm in a bad mood or I'm going through something, mentally. Yes, I am blessed, and I acknowledge the blessings of Adonai in my life every single day. Not everybody gets to live the life that I'm leading, and it's truly a joy and a wonder to behold. Are you circumcised? Asked Prolapse. Yes, I am. Thank God for that. All right, we've got 33 votes. Will the kids wake me up? Right now, we're leaning towards no, towards yes, with who gives a rat's ass coming up hot, and no coming up third with who gives a flying fart. So, okay, people, what if a rat's ass gave a flying fart? Huh? See, that's then we'd have something. Okay. You got a hairbrush, bro? Yes, I do. For the wife and kids, I don't use the hairbrush. Don't be mean, he's just trying to be kind. That's nice. No, be mean. Definitely be mean. Get all of the negativity out. Pour it all over me. Saturate me in the negativity. Saturate me with your hatred, with your vile speech, with your angry, wicked rhetoric. Get it out of your system. Then we can work from there. Are those natural dreadlocks? Gimmick says. Yes, they are natural, organic, freeform Nazarite dreadlocks. Are you gay? Says Ezra Cooks. What do you cook? I'd love to know. What is your specialty? What is your forte? Are you more into meat, fish, dairy, poultry? And gay. I definitely have a gay side. I have just never been attracted to men. As I've said before, I've never met a man and thought, I want to get him into bed right now. But a part of me is definitely gay. A part of me is a lesbian. A part of me is straight. A part of me is, I got it all. I'm the full spectrum of sexuality right here. That sounds gay, says Dean Britton. Well, exactly, see? It goes hand in hand. Know what I'm saying? Never seen a hippie Jewish rabbi before. Well, I am a kind of hippie. I am Jewish, but I'm not a rabbi, so you still haven't seen a hippie Jewish rabbi, unfortunately. I cook balls. Do you have some? Are we talking about matzo balls? Are we talking about cheese balls? Are we talking about what are the balls? Well, those two. Let's start with those two. Are you trans? Yes, I am. I transition always between masculine and feminine. I present like this, right? But I'm always transitioning between masculine and feminine on the inside, sometimes on the outside. So Locke, yeah, I am trans. Definitely I'm trans. Dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay, Shadowband says. I actually probably did at some point have a clay dreidel years and years ago. But usually it's not. Okay, let's look at the poll with 52 votes here. What is still... Okay, so yes, they will. The kids will cause me to end the stream again, they say. And with Who Gives a Rat's Ass coming in second, and No coming in third, with Who Gives a Flying Fart taking a four right way, way behind there with 13%. People, we all fart. You give a flying fart. I give a flying fart. Come on, that's gotta be first. You people. Why do I even bother with these polls? I love this. Judaism always fascinates me, says Bobby, but I don't understand the whole rules thing, much like other religions. The rules are meant to restrict you in order to free you, right? It's only when you are restricted in certain things that you can find out who you are and what you're supposed to do. If you're given all of the options, if you're given everything, right, and you have seemingly the freedom to do anything, then there's nothing challenging you, and there's nothing to sort of push against you. There's nothing that can become an adversary, let's say, or some sort of element where you are challenged. And the rules are there in order for you to make a vessel, right? A physical vessel, using your body and your life for the spiritual contents to be poured in. Obviously, this can be done in many other ways. For the Hebrew people, the Torah and the commandments are there in order to guide us through life with the rights and the wrongs, because it's a world of good and evil. And so the rules are there in order to help guide you towards who you are supposed to actually be. And that's why there are things that we don't eat, there are things that we don't say, there are things that we don't do, and there are things that we do in order to facilitate that. The Torah and the commandments are there to guide the Hebrew man or woman on a path of righteousness. That's basically it. It always, and Judaism fascinates me as well. I mean, religion and spirituality and faith fascinates me. Okay, who gives a rat's ass? Who gives a rat's ass now at 32%? Keep it coming, people. I want to know. Will the kids wake me up? Will the kids wake up and cause me once again to end the stream or not? Let's go, let's go. Okay, let's continue. The law is a punishment for worshiping the golden calf. No, that's not true at all. There were laws before the golden calf. So you're mistaken. What is the deal with the golden calf? What is the deal with the golden calf is that, right, they wanted a God incarnate. They wanted to worship an idol. They were like, we can't just worship this amorphous, unthinkable, unknowable, unfathomable thing. Yes, there was a revelation at Sinai, and we heard a revelation of a voice, but we need something tangible that we can look at, something tangible that we can bow down to. But the Torah says, no, don't do that. And we're paying the price for the golden calf, even after all these many generations. It's said in the Midrash, the external teachings, that every single time that something negative or, wicked comes upon the Jews, there is some atonement for the sin of the golden calf in that wickedness, in that evil, in that whatever it is that we go through that's on the negative side. The bad things that happen to the Jewish people carry with them the atonement, however slightly, minutely, of the golden calf. The sin of the golden calf, right? The calf is a symbol of abundance and of materialism. And when it was golden, it was that whole thing. It's a problem. It's definitely a problem. But it happened, and we are supposed to learn from it, right? We're supposed to learn what not to do. Most of the Bible, most of the Torah, is not what to do, it's what not to do. And this is even actually, practically speaking, in the commandments. 613 commandments, traditionally. 365 thou shalt nots. 248 thou shalts. And so, actually, practically speaking, there are more don'ts than do's. And the Torah, the Hebrew prophets, the writings, the scrolls, all of it is there to teach us more of what not to do. Take a look at all the bloodshed. Take a look at all the injustice. Take a look at all of the wars and just the crap that goes on in the Bible. And you will learn quickly what is best abstained from. That's how I see it anyway. I met a nun, said Elsa. Well, what kind of a nun? A Buddhist nun? A Christian nun? Why not cultivate universal virtue, says Aro Minute. I think that look, before you go universal, you have to act locally, right? Act locally, think globally, that thing. When the Torah, right? When the Hebrew people follow their covenant, their unique personal covenant, that's not better or worse than any other nation's covenant with God, right? Let me make that very clear. It's just the fact that the Hebrews were selected for this specific way, just like other nations were selected to do things their way. And so we have this thing that we do locally that like a stone into a pond, there's a ripple effect, right? A butterfly effect. And so it's not that we don't think universally. There is that idea of tikkun olam, right? Repairing the world, adorning the world, and making it whole, so to speak. And most people think that it's more of a conservative or reform idea, but it definitely does have its roots in Eden. And I'm trying to adapt that Edenic mindset. That's part of what we're doing here. Why do black people claim to be Israelites? Said Manny. You'd have to ask them. I think that there's a very good chance that the original Israelites were black-skinned or very brown-skinned. It doesn't make a difference to me what kind of skin they have. But I think that they claim to be Israelites because some of them have this inferiority complex, and they have this need, this necessity to prove that they are the real Jews, and those are the fake Jews, and God knows why. I have no idea why. Some people want to put others down just so they can be taller, right, and feel larger. But why they claim to be Israelites is because there's a very good chance that black-skinned people were among the original Israelites. But I have no idea why they claim to be Israelites. Maybe they are actually of the 10 lost tribes, literally from the lost kingdom of Israel that was exiled by King Shalmaneser II, or Sancherib was it, of Assyria, right, before the exile of the kingdom of Judah. So yeah, we are about cultivating the universal, right, virtue, but it's first of all through our own virtue. And this is not virtue signaling, right? The Torah says if you don't follow the commandments, if you break your covenant, the covenant remains, but you'll get your ass kicked, be thrown out of the land, be sold into slavery in foreign lands. And it has happened. Okay, so right now it's a tie between no and who gives a rat's ass. I'm biting my fingernails here. What's going to happen? Okay, let's see. Matthew says, what of such as Jewish tradition dictates a need to update Nazarite vows to modern times? Well, the Nazarite vow fits anytime, anywhere, with a temple, without a temple. You could be a man, you could be a woman, you could be a free person, you could be a slave or a handmaid. The Nazariteship applies to all of the Hebrew tribes if they choose to take it on themselves. Is caffeine indulgence? Right, so okay. So that idea of not indulging in the wine, like I said, has to do with the spiritual manifestation, right, of the grapes in the physical. In other words, it has to do with what the grapes represent in the higher realms, right? The spiritual origin of the physical fruit and what it represents. However, it is a kind of doorway into other types of indulgence, which is why I gave up alcohol, which is why I went from vegetarian to vegan. I saw that as a pathway towards that. And that's part of what it facilitates. Now, even if you only take on a Samson Nazariteship or the Numbers Nazariteship and only do that without adding anything, right, that still will naturally help you to avoid overindulging or sometimes indulging at all in different things. To each his own. The Nazariteship affects the man or woman who take it in vastly different ways. And that's why there's no specific reason given for taking the Nazarite vow. That's why there's no specific outcome for the Nazarite vow, because it's a personal covenant, it's a personal journey. It's it can be from 30 days onward if you have the temple. Now that we don't have the temple, each one who takes the Nazarite vow of Israel takes it for life. But trying to explore the deeper connection one could come to pondering Nazarite vows. Well, let's put it this way. There are some things you don't get to experience unless you go all in. And the Nazariteship, certainly nowadays without the temple, I feel the Nazariteship is one of those things that unless you actually take the vow and pick up that vow of the Nazariteship and lead that life, you will never know how it's going to affect you on a personal level. The Nazariteship has to do, right, with the crown of consecration. And that crown can mean different things to different people. It's not simply the grapes and the hair and the defilement of corpses, right? That's just the beginning. That's just taking the vow and having those things be a part of your life. What comes through that into your life, that's where it's different for every single Nazarite that I have come across. Man, woman, and so it's a personal vow with personal results and personal consequences. It's a personal path, and until you take this vow, you don't truly know what it's about. You can have the commentaries and you can have ideas of what it's about, but you won't truly know how it affects you and where it will take you. And I know that now I'm 15 years into this vow, hopefully till my grave and afterwards, but 15 years in this vow, and I can't truly explain what it has done for me, but it has been quite a journey. I felt called to this vow from a long time ago, and looking back, even at, teenagehood and early adulthood, I could see how I was drawn towards the Nazariteship. But that's just me. Let's go to the poll. Okay, right now we have who gives a rat's ass at 30 and no at 27. Okay, this is really, really close here, okay? Yes at 25% and who gives a flying fart? Again, who gives a flying fart? 140 votes at 18%. You people. Okay, work will set you free. Yes, I agree. There's work of the Lord and there's work of the land and there's working for, your betterment. There's spiritual work and there's physical work. Arbeit macht frei. Yes, that was, for those who don't know, that was written on the gates of Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp. Kerr says, Mr. Nazarite, what are some lessons you have learned on your spiritual journey after the age of 30? Well, let's put it this way. I took my vow when I was 27. Yes, no, 28? No, 27. I took my vow at 27. As I was entering my 30s and the kids started to be born, and I graduated from film school, and I really started to take off as an individual with a career and, and getting a mortgage and being able to buy my own home. I'm still paying the bank, make no mistake, but it's my home in my name. Things changed for me after I took this vow in a profound way, spiritually and physically alike. So as for lessons that I learned on your spiritual journey, I learned for me, I'm not saying this is true to anyone else, but I'm saying that we each have a calling, right? We each have something that we are supposed to be manifesting. We each have that image of God, unique to us, in which we were created. Make a serious attempt in your 30s if you haven't done it in your 20s, and it's understandable why you would have not. If you have not done so in your 20s, do it in your 30s. It's said in the Mishnah, in the Ethics of Our Fathers, Pirkei Avot, Ben Shloshim Lekoach, 30-year-olds for strength. And when you enter that fourth decade of your life, you have that ability of taking, the childhood, the adolescence, the early adulthood, and then saying, okay, let's see where we are truly taking this. Now it's time to get down and dirty and figure out what we are doing with our lives. So if you haven't done it until then, 30 is the time when you can gather the strength, right, to really answer the questions in earnest, your own personal questions, whatever they may be, on the way you're leading your life, why you are, why you aren't, what is truth, what is beauty, what is all of those abstract things. Try and make them manifest practically, physically in your life. Take the time in order to learn who you are and why you are. I think that the lessons that I've learned after the age of 30 were profound because of the kids and because I finally was, getting my career going. And those are physical things, but they had an immense spiritual effect on the way that I was leading my life. And certain things that are coincided, right? We seek to elevate the spiritual and the physical alike. We seek to bring a union between the masculine and the feminine divine presence. And that got a real, the trajectory just went way upward after I turned 30, after the vow had started to really come into its own for me. So the spiritual lessons are inherently tied into the vow, but for other people, I have no idea. I really don't. Okay, let's see. G.I.G. says, or I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, did you realize by the age of 30 that your hair is so disgusting? No. I realized that, let's see, for the first couple of years, it was just messy. I mean, it was only after like 6 or 7 months that the first tiny knot formed here in the back, what is now this dragon's tail as it's known. So, no, I guess I realized that the hair was disgusting sometime in my early 20s. But maybe not. Maybe it was then. I'm sorry, I don't know. I can't tell you precisely when the day or the decade or the year was when I realized it was disgusting. But you and I, G, can definitely agree that my hair is nasty, gross, horrible, and an embarrassment to anyone who has ever actually grown hair. Okay. Can anyone be a Nazarene? Well, Nazarene means of Nazareth. It's a Nazarite or a Nazir, but okay, I get the idea. Can anyone do you have to be Jewish? Yes, you have to be Jewish to be a Jewish Nazarite. How can everyone participate in spirituality if a religious tradition is exclusionary? So spirituality and religion, more specifically organized religion, is exclusionary, but spirituality is just about having a relationship between you and your creator, and you don't need any religion for that. I happen to be born into the Hebrew faith with Hebrew traditions, and so I leaned into that very heavily for a time, and into into Orthodox rabbinic law, and now I've taken a step back from keeping strict law, but the Orthodox rabbinic faith is still a part of me. The Hebrew traditions are very much a part of my life. The Torah and the commandments I seek to follow with every day that I live, but definitely it's not needed for spirituality as such. I go back to Eden. In Eden, there was no religion. In Eden, right, there was none of this. There were no different faiths, there were no different religions, there were no different sacred texts. It was just mankind, the divine revelation, nature in the garden. Go with that, walk with that a little bit and see what it is that you need to do. Because the spirituality is within you, right? The image of God is within you. Try to manifest that to the best of your ability. Speak with God every day, like I'm speaking with you right now, right? And be humble about it. And spirituality will, of its own accord, find a place in your heart. Right? Humility is the key to all positive attributes. Humility is the key to all good personality traits. If you go with humility, you will be able to have all of those things. Do you feel pressured to be seen as an intellectual? Asks Alan Ozzie. No, I'm not an intellectual. I'm not a scholar. I'm not a sage. I'm not an academic. I'm not a researcher. I'm just a stupid dumbass in the Middle East trying to talk to people. That's all I'm doing here. And I never, I never think I'm anything else other than that. What is your name, Mr. Nazarite? I am Jonathan, also known as Jonathan, if you don't want to say the Jonathan. Who like your hair more, God or the devil? What do you think? I think that the divine revelation might be happy with my hair, and the angel the dark angel with the 12 wings might also be happy with my hair. But I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me, so I can't tell you. Cool beard, says Rayburn. Hey, Rayburn, black man. Black man? Yes, black man. Thanks, man. It's just a beard. I've never really shaved, so it's just growing like that, you know? How old are you? It's okay if you don't want to say. I am 43. I just turned 43 10 days ago. No, less than 10 days ago. My Hebrew birthday was a week ago. What do you personally think will happen after you die? Asks Enrique. No, not Enrique. Who was that? User KJ. No, no, that wasn't it. It was Mel. Oh man, it just keeps going. Who was it? Oh, Tom Brenner. Brenner. So, let's put it this way. When the soul separates from the body, it goes to the waiting room, right? Eden is a waiting room. We all have a duty that we need to fulfill together as a human race. We still have not partaken of the fruit of the tree of life. Speaking of Eden, right? We still have a mission to fulfill, a task to get done. So I believe that it would be a waiting room, or definitely because I'm a sinner, I will go to purgatory, at least for some time, and there is no such a thing as space and time in the spiritual realms. We use these words to convey spiritual ideas where we otherwise could not, so we use different physical terms in order to convey them and understand them a little bit and grasp them. But none of this exists, right? Left, right, top, bottom, right. All of the dualities do not exist there. So it's just things that we use here. So I'm thinking when I die, I will die a sinner to some degree because we all fall short of the ideal. We all sin. We all miss the mark. That's literally what sin means. In Hebrew, lachto, lehachti, to miss the mark. And so I'm thinking that I will be in a place of purgation, a place of refinement, a place of cleansing, at least a while, whatever a while is, and then probably wait, right? Wait and have spiritual that spiritual life. It's not life exactly, right? It's something that I can't quite put into words because it's not something that is supposed to be put into words. And it's not something that I think about. I never think about what will happen after I die. I'm more busy thinking about how it is that I'm trying to live. So I don't really think about that at all. But what will happen? I'm assuming that I will be in purgatory, the Hebrew purgatory, Gehinnom, for a while, because I'm a sinner and I missed the mark plenty of times, and that eventually when my soul is cleansed, so to speak, or not the soul, right? When the karma is shed and the onion is peeled, I will be able to go into the waiting room to await with the rest of the human race. We are all sinners, that's why Jesus came to give his life for us. Says Enrique, yes, but I don't believe in Jesus as Messiah, Lord and Savior, Lamb of God, Son of God. I believe he is a dead man, a righteous man, but a dead man nonetheless. Dude looks 100% like a Jew, says Bug. Is Bug or Bug? I don't know. The umlaut, is that an umlaut? So it's Boog. Boog, right? Yeah, I got the nose, I got the specs, I got the beard, I got the nasty hair, I got it all. If your spirituality is Jewish in nature, do you think that God is unavailable to others? Well, I don't know God, right? All I know is how God reveals himself to me. There's a specific divine revelation that pertains to each root nation. And so God is revealed to the Hebrew people through Torah, through commandments. And so I don't know what your conceptualization of God is, so I can't really answer the question. But God, right, is the creator. And God created mankind, not Hebrews, not Israelis, not Zionists, not Jews, mankind, right? Humankind as such, in Eden, in the image of God. Do you think people with other faiths or backgrounds can have just a profound connection to God? I certainly think so, and I certainly hope so. Because look, it's all up to what you do. If you do good deeds, if you walk with justice and honesty and humility in this world, and try and be right, and try and be a blessing to others, try and shed some light into the darkness, then that's already forming a connection. That's already forming a relationship with the transcendent. And the divine revelation, as it's being manifested, at least to me, through nature, through Torah, through life, I know that anybody can achieve this. Anybody. It all comes down to what you do and how you do it. That is it. Not a religion, not a faith, not a doctrine of any kind can supersede that. None. It's all about your conduct, what it is that you are doing and how you are doing it, and why you are doing it. Intent matters. But yes, anybody and everybody can have a personal relationship with their creator if they are so inclined. And if they are not so inclined, and so that's that, and you make your own bed. You know what I'm saying? It's your own life. You have free will. That's precisely what separates us from the demons and the angels and other spiritual entities and I don't know what. You went to film school, does that still pique your interest? Kirk Creative says. Yes, I'm still a screenwriter by trade. I still occasionally go back to the drawer and pull a screenplay out and edit and send it off to some competition or send it off to a production company. I haven't done that in a while, but I'm still definitely interested in doing that, yes. Your understanding of scripture is so baffling you don't take any scripture verbatim, be all end all says. No, I don't. I don't take things verbatim. That much is true. because I know that everything has nuance, everything has different levels, everything can be understood in different ways. So no, I don't take everything verbatim. Certain things I do take verbatim, but even the things that I do take verbatim at face value, I know that they have a spiritual origin. And I know that here, right, I have here is a physical book, a physical scroll, right? A rabbinic halacha, so to speak, about how to live life in this world. But I know that my origin is not in this world. My origin is in the spiritual realm. My origin, like the rest of you, is in Eden. And that's where we are trying to go back to. And so the question is then, now what? If I take certain things verbatim, okay. If I take other things, as a spiritual thing, a metaphysical, so be it. I pick and choose everything. I pick and choose everything. I'm a cafeteria man of faith, right? I'm a cafeteria Hebrew. I make no apologies. And that's the way that it needs to be for me personally. I make no apologies for that at all because it's been able to serve me properly. Now, many people will say, oh, no, 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 you're going against the word of God. The Torah is supposed to be read as such, like this, halacha. That's it. Okay, fair enough. Are you me? No? Then I'm sorry. It's not something that you can. It's not something that you can have a say about, or you can have a say, and maybe you can teach me things. Definitely, I'm ignorant, right? There's more of what I don't know than what I do know. But I have been religious, right? Orthodox religious since birth. And even though I've taken a step back from strict halacha, there's still a lot that I do on a regular basis, right? Be it the Sabbaths and the festivals, or be it trying to mind how I speak, or be it trying to mind what I do, or the laws of family purity, or things of that nature. I don't always take it to the extreme of strict halacha, but I've always had a reason for that. And for many years, a few years, right, in my mid-20s, before I took my vow, I thought to myself, okay, am I taking a step back from strict orthodoxy simply to shirk my responsibilities and shed the yoke of Torah and commandments under the guise that I'm doing it for some noble and spiritual reason? Or am I doing it because I truly do feel that this is my life, this is my path, this is what I'm being called towards, and people who don't like it can kiss my ass? And I, came to understand I'm being a bit aggressive here with the language, but you know what I'm saying. You got to live your life. You got to live your life. You will never truly be who you are if you're like everybody else. So, sure, you need to be like everybody else in so many other facets in living in society. There needs to be a part of you, and why not the spiritual part, where you let shine. You take on a discipline, you take on a path, you take on a difficult road, and then at some point you're able to see truly and honestly through your own experience, through the wisdom that you accrued along the way, that you're supposed to go in a different path. And it doesn't mean that you go there forever. This, Orthodox religion, right? Orthodox rabbinic Judaism is still my home. It's still my roots. And I'm not denying and I'm not negating the idea of getting back into strict halacha at some point in my life. But I don't see anything wrong with what I'm doing here right now, despite many other people thinking that I'm doing things wrong. I'm an embarrassment to Judaism, and I'm a heretic, right? And I'm gonna burn in hell. All that good stuff. Don't spit on me. Wait. Funkin Fuin Kilstein. Don't spit on me, OG Tennessee kid. I think I've seen you before. No, I try not to spit on you. But look, you know what? In Friends, right? That's what real actors do. Enunciation is the mark of a good actor. And when you enunciate, you spit. That's a great line. Well, Gary Oldman. Oh, I love Gary Oldman so much. He is the man. Okay. Brother, why the hair? Rilo, I've taken a Nazarite's vow, and Nazarites grow their hair. Dental floss. I am a fan of dental floss. Why, I was just flossing this morning. Some say that dental floss is even more crucial than brushing your teeth. I do brush my teeth more than I floss. I should be flossing more, but I do floss fairly regularly, and I get my teeth cleaned every 6 months on the, as much every 6 months. Whenever I go to the hygienist, I immediately make the next appointment already, put it in the calendar so I won't forget. So thank God. Dental floss is something I use. I get my teeth cleaned regularly, and you know what? My teeth are doing okay. Bli ayin ra'a. I'm doing really, really well in that department. Genetics are against me, but so far, thank God, I've been able to walk that path. Do you not cut your balls hair also? So, strict halacha says that you're not allowed to shave the pubic region, or at least some strict halacha, not everybody, right? There's this idea in the Torah that you're not supposed to behave in ways of if you're masculine, if you're a male, if you're a man, you're not supposed to behave in the ways of a woman. Now they're talking about wearing clothes, they're talking about acting in different ways where you emulate the women. And so they say that if women in your region, in your area, shave their nether regions, you should not. However, I do groom. Never skipped flossing, you'll fuck up your heart. Flossing and the heart? What does it have to do with it? I'm intrigued. I am intrigued. Seek the Truth says, I guess you keep the law. Well, which law? Which law are we talking about here? My dentist said dental floss is garbage. Interdental brushes are the way to go. Well, I use a flosser. I don't use dental floss like the string. I use a flosser, and I'm pretty much able to get in there. I really, really am. I go tooth by tooth. I go into the gums. I shake it around a bit, and I'm actually able to stay clean in that sense. Also, going to the hygienist once every 6 months definitely hits the spot. And oh man, there was one time in the army. There was one time in the army I had not I had not used a flosser in years at that point. So I was 20 years old when I joined the army, and I think that it was like a few years since I had last flossed. And I sat down in that dentist's chair. I'll give you this. I had to have two separate sessions to get all of the plaque out of my mouth. It hurt. I bled like crazy. Ugh. So yeah, since then I've been going every 6 months to the hygienist, and I've been able to stay ahead of the plaque because of that. And it's going pretty good. I'm very, very happy with my dental cleaning regimen. People, if you don't have a dental cleaning routine, get one going. It is important. The gums, right? Teeth can be replaced, teeth can be pulled out, and you can put, fake teeth or whatnot. But your gums, if some crap happens with your gums, then it's going to the periodontist, and that's a whole other ball game, right? This isn't something you can just put dentures in or something, or veneers, or I don't know what. Take care of your gums, people. Okay. Is reggae your favorite kind of music? Asks Calvin. Calvin. No, I'm a classic rock, psychedelic rock, alternative rock. Pink Floyd and Radiohead are my go-to. I always said that Pink Floyd was my first love. I met Pink Floyd, right? I was introduced to Pink Floyd in my early teens, and I met my woman at 16 years old. So she was my second love. My first love is Pink Floyd in the sense that I really fell in love with Pink Floyd. I used to contemplate the lyrics and think of the grooves, and I used to, I collected all their, back in the time, right, when MP3s first got onto the scene, I used to download the MP3s. I looked for rarities on the internet. I was really immersed in them to such a degree. I'll never forget this. I was in high school, right? I was walking with a few people to the CD store, and they said, "Oh, hey, what CD are you gonna get?" And I said, "Oh, I think I'm gonna get Pink Floyd's." Would you shut up about Pink Floyd? Enough with the Pink Floyd. I was really immersed in Pink Floyd. It was my first love. I still think they are so amazingly awesome. I'm not a fan of Roger Waters and what he has to say about Israel or the IDF, but he's allowed to, he's allowed to say what he's gonna say. But Pink Floyd, oh my God! And David Gilmour is such a good soul. And Syd Barrett, Nick Mason is still the man, and Richard Wright, who died as well. Okay, let's look at the poll right now. Will the kids wake me up? Will the kids wake me up? We have 30% saying yes. Well, so far you're wrong. 422 votes here. 23%, oh, okay, 28%, right behind yes, with who gives a rat's ass. Well, not you people, I'll tell you. And no, 23%, with who gives a flying fart, still fourth. People, I'm disappointed. You all fart every day, and you can't give a flying fart? Who gives a flying fart? You ought to give a flying fart. My God. Okay, let's continue here. When is the last time you took a bath? Yesterday. Yesterday was the last time I took a bath. Please don't arrest me for hate speech, says Bedwetter. Well, I don't know what you said before, but I won't arrest you. I don't ban anybody. I don't kick anybody out of the chat. It's a free speech chat. Troll me, hate me, cast aspersions and accusations against me. I'll suck it all up. Right? I'll suck it all up and I'll swallow it. Do you have brain damage? Yeah, likely. Just enough. Yeah, I'm definitely missing a few brain cells. That's for damn sure. However, it still has not reached a critical mass as to cause me to... Oh, wait. It just happened. All right. There are worse things to be obsessive about. Yeah, yeah. Oh man, I was obsessed with Pink Floyd. Oh my God. Truly my first love. They really, really were. Okay. Just like the rabbi. Oh wait, I'm sorry, the chat just jumped. Oh, okay. A Stylin says, just like the rabbi when you got your Brit Milah. I don't understand. I don't understand. Because he said something in the chat, but the chat is moving so quickly. All right, let's continue. When is the last time you had a haircut? When was the last time I had a haircut? Good question. 17, 18 years ago? Something like that. Something like that. Do you smoke pot? No, I don't. I used to, but I now am a fan of marijuana. It has many uses, but I don't smoke anymore. I trick. I trick. No, I don't smoke anymore. Are you a Moel? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Definitely not. That's not the thing to do. End the stream, though, says Alphonse. Alphonse here at St. Alfonso's Pancake Breakfast, where I stole the margarine clear and wheeled on the bingo cards and blew up the latrine. Okay, I can sing the whole thing. Let's not go there. Bro, keep talking. I'm almost finished. Oh yeah? You want me to talk like this? You want me to get you off with my sexy, sultry voice? Keep going, bedwetter. Wet that bed for me. You know what you like. All right. What kind of screenplays do you like to write? I'd love to read some. I'm a man of comedy. I love comedy. I'm all about make me laugh. Make me laugh. You know, the world is such a horrible place sometimes. So much drama, so much horror on a regular basis. People, if you want to see how much life can suck, check out, Soft White Underbelly's channel. Oh my God, the stories there will just rip your heart out and smash it into a billion pieces and then smash it again. So yeah, comedy, just make me laugh, so I want to make other people laugh. And there's still a dramatic element to it, of course. It's a screenplay, but yeah, I'm all about comedy. I'm all about comedy. The screenplays that I've written, full length and short length, TV series that I've written. Again, nothing of this has been produced so far, but God willing, at some point, a production company will say, hey, this weirdo made me laugh. Let's give him some money, and then we'll see what happens from there. Did you discover the barber shop on the map yet, sir? Asks Mellow Cool. Yes, I have. I dare say that there are a couple of barber shops within a couple of kilometers radius of me, but they won't see my business. I do take my kids there, however, and the barber always has something to say. What's your favorite artist? So right now it's Radiohead, only because Pink Floyd have not put anything out in a while since The Endless River. I'm a fan of David Gilmour's stuff, but it's not quite Pink Floyd, and that's not a bad thing. But yeah, Radiohead, oh my God. I saw Radiohead live in Israel 2017. I was right at the front on the rails. It was a dream come true. It's truly a spiritual experience. I was like meters away from that lovely group, and I was looking Tom York in the eye. It was beautiful and gorgeous. What a night! Oh my God, truly, yeah. Radiohead nerd here says mad cool. Hey, I'm right with you, man. I'm right with you. It was such an amazing experience to see them live up close and so close. As close as this phone is right now, almost. It was something else. Wow. Just thinking about it right now makes me tingle, and it's been 8 years. Or no, that's 2026, right? It's been, in the summer it'll be 9 years. I still remember waking up on that day. I came with a Radiohead shirt that I had printed myself the day before, right? Radiohead in Israel with the font like the in rainbows, right? With the slash and with the disconnected letters, and yeah, and the modified bear on the front. Ah, so good. It was so good. What a gig. What a gig. And let's not forget what Tom York said. He said a lot of stuff was said about this, but in the end, we played some music. Right on, Tom. And to end with Karma Police, and I know that they often do it, but still, that ending, why to end with Karma Police and with just Tom at the end on the stage with his acoustic and the entire crowd just belting out for a minute there. I lost myself. It was just so emotional. So, oh wow, it was just amazing. Truly amazing. Radiohead's not an artist, it's a band. IQ 40, fine, fine, fine. A lone artist? A lone artist. Okay, not a band. Fair enough, fair enough. A lone artist. Who do I like? Who do I listen to as a solo right now? That's not a band. Good question. Good question. I guess Dave Gilmour. I guess Dave Gilmour right now I'm listening to more than others. as a standalone, yeah. But IQ 40, you flatter me. My IQ is so much lower than that. You flatter me 40. Oof. You must have a thing for me, don't you? Don't you? Okay. Are you a settler? Says Lucid. Let's put it this way. No, but I am of the opinion that settlers simply settle the land. Now, there are a few fringe settlements that might be pushing the envelope there, that are, uh, let's say, illegal on a few different levels. Those I am not in favor of. But in general, settling the land, and you could argue over the logistics and the legalities of it, but I'm not opposed to settling the land of Israel. I am opposed to ripping people out of their homes. That I am opposed to. Okay. Are you a Satanist? No, I'm not a Satanist. There was a time in my life where I read a few passages and verses from the LaVeyan Satanic Bible, and I know that the Church of Satan, right, Dr. Anton LaVey and the Church of Satan, and his interpretation of Satanism, I think that if I was not worshiping the Hebrew God, I could get into some of that doctrine. Of course, his daughter, I saw her on a podcast long ago, and she said that yes, while the philosophy did have that humanistic merit to it, he himself took that crown, right, of the Church of Satan and warped it, and it was not good. What he did was not good, she said. And even though Satanism does have its benefits and its attributes that are positive for the human being, it's still not something that LaVeyan Satanism is not something that she was fond of. Other types of Satanism, look, if by Satanism you mean like this pure, in-your-face humanism, right, with its tenets and whatnot, tenets. That's one thing. If you're talking about sacrificing cats at a graveyard with a full moon, I don't know anything about that shit. As far as I'm concerned, that's not like the religion of Satanism. That's devil worship, and that is not the same thing at all. Satanism is about the ego. Satanism as a religion, right, is about being a human being. Devil worship is about worshiping the dark forces and the unclean forces in the world, let's say the Sitra Achra, the dark side of the force. So that I know nothing about. I know that I don't want to touch it ever. As when it comes to Satanism, I think it has some interesting things to say about how to lead life, but I, as a Hebrew man, do not, I don't go near it. So no, I am not a Satanist, but I understand people who are Satanists. Very jealous of getting to see both Radiohead and Pink Floyd. No, I did not see Pink Floyd. Although Roger Waters was here in Israel, I bought a ticket and then I had I had a refund. I didn't want to attend it after I found out things that he'd said right then and there, days before the concert, and I was like, no, I'm not going to give this guy my money. My wife did go. I at the time was working as a lighting and sound technician, so I was sort of listening to it on the radio as we were taking a stage apart, a different stage in Jerusalem, and I was listening to the end of the concert. My wife said that it was still one of the greatest concerts she'd ever been to. She saw Dark Side of the Moon played live, start to finish, and she said that the most emotional moment she'd ever experienced in a concert was when Roger Waters and the band were singing Bring the Boys Back Home, and everybody in that crowd sang it from the bottom of their hearts. Everybody. She said that was truly a monumental moment. Did your parents live in Israel for a while before you were born? Are they Chabad Lubavitch? No, they're not Chabad and they're not Lubavitch. They are regular mainstream New York Jews. And they lived in Israel for a while. They wanted to come to the Holy Land before having the kids, and that's part of what they did. Interestingly enough, after they had been here for a while, they sent a letter to their friends and relations in the States saying, hey, we want to start a commune. My parents are kind of hippies. We want to start a commune up north. They're willing to allot us a piece of land up in the north, right, and out in nature. Come, let's do this. Nobody showed up. Nobody. And they thought maybe some people would show up. Not a single person showed up. Now, I don't judge them. It could be that if I was born and raised in the States, I wouldn't want to come to Israel either. No judgment. I still think that my parents have a huge set of balls together and in between, and individually. And anybody who makes aliyah, right? Anybody who ascends to the state of Israel, anybody who gets to this land from a different land, they have my respect and admiration. And I truly, truly think that it's quite a leap to make. And I don't take it for granted that anybody shows up here ever. So yeah. How can you go to festivals and still be a man of God? Asks Mellow Cool. Well, I don't go to festivals because festivals are usually on the Sabbath or on the holidays. So even though I would love to go to festivals, like these 3-day festivals, they're usually over the weekend. So I don't. The Radiohead concert was on a Thursday night, if I'm not mistaken, on a weekday, so I did. And I had a lovely Shabbos afterwards. But no, most of the festivals occur during the holidays. So I don't go to festivals. I have never been to a festival, like a proper 3-day, 4-day festival, because it's always either on holidays or the Sabbath on the weekend, so I don't go. As for how you can go and still be a man of God, they have roaming synagogues that arrive at festivals and they put up a tent or a structure of some kind and they have the prayers there and they have the reading of the Torah there and they have the communion and the fellowship there. Communion, I mean the Jewish thing. So it's definitely possible to go to festivals and still be a man of God, depending on what you do at the festival, right? That really is what it depends on. Do you like Roman Empire? Asks Ladislav Iber. Well, look, the Roman Empire, let's put it this way. When the when the Maccabees, right, just recently we had Hanukkah. When the Maccabees took back the temple from the Illicid Greeks, right, and vanquished them and purified the temple and lit the menorah and that whole thing with the drum of oil, and they instituted the festival of Hanukkah, 8 days, corresponding with the 8 days of Sukkot and the eighth day of assembly. They wrote a letter, right, to the Romans. They were very fond of the Romans, and if you read the book of Maccabees, which is in the external teachings, the Sfarim Chitzonim, the external books, pardon me, you will see that they were very fond of the way that the Roman Empire at the time was set up. They loved the idea of having it be like the rule of the people, let's say, and a senate, and they thought, oh my God, what great wisdom! However, over the course of time, the bond that they had a covenant, right? They had a pact, they had an alliance, at least a tenuous or short-lived alliance between the Hashmonai dynasty, the Hashmonai kingdom of the Second Temple era, had an alliance with Rome. And then, in the course of the 200 years from the time of the establishment of the Hashmonai dynasty until Rome burned the temple at 70 of the Common Era, it sort of fell apart. But there was a time when the Jews in Judea and the Romans in Rome were in cahoots because they each saw wisdom in the other. So, do I like them? I don't like the fact that the Roman Empire burned the temple. But you know what? By the time the temple burned, it was already burned spiritually. So all Rome did was burn a building that was already meaningless, that was already devoid of any true righteousness and spirituality. It was devoid of any real substance of worshiping God and doing God's work, which is why the temple was burned. If there was actual justice and peace and righteousness in the land of Judah, of Judea, right, in the kingdom of Judah at the time, the temple would not have burned. But for almost a century before the burning of the temple, already things started to go really, really wrong, and the infighting intensified, and things went on that were not okay, including buying the priesthood and the high priesthood with money, which is not okay, and that's just one small thing. But I don't like the Roman Empire so much. However, as they say in Life of Brian, what have the Romans done for us? I believe the Romans gave a lot of things to the world, some things that we still currently use, right, like pergolas, huh? And Rome had a lot of good things to say, depending on the emperor, right? I mean, I'm a fan of Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, and I know that there were very wise people in Rome who said very, very interesting and clever things about how it is that you should lead life. Everything, there's good in everything. So I choose to see the good things about the Roman Empire. However, it's definitely the case that the Roman Empire did a few bad things, at least to us. So, do I like them? I can't tell you if I like them or not. I can see some value in certain teachings of the ancient Roman Empire. Mityavnim, says Susta. Yes, the Mityavnim. What about them? Melokol, I think I answered you. How can you go to festivals and still be a man of God? You're free to think that you can't. I've never been to a festival because it's on the weekend or the Sabbath or the holidays, which I keep, and I abstain from all those things. However, there might come a time when I do want to hit a festival and on the Sabbath go to the synagogue that is erected there. So you can be a man of God and go to a festival. Just because you go to a festival and enjoy the music doesn't mean that you're going to go and be all promiscuous, right? And go, 3/4 naked or whatever it is that you think is immoral about festivals. Just don't do it. It doesn't mean you can't enjoy the music. It doesn't mean you can't enjoy the camaraderie, the ambiance, the brotherhood, people coming together in music with drugs, without drugs, whatever the case may be. I think that festivals have a lot. I just have never been to one. Whoa, okay. Ma, מאיפה אתה מביא את זה? Asks Susta. מאיפה אני מביא את מה? He says, where are you getting this? Where am I getting what, Susta? You'll have to actually tell me what you're talking about, and then I can address it. מאיפה אני מביא את מה, Susta? 5001. What are your views on Hasidic Jews? How do they differ from your... שאפשר ללכת לפסטיבל. מה זאת אומרת? יש הרבה פסטיבלים שבהם יש בתי כנסת. אני לא הולך כי זה בשבת וחגים וכאלה, אתה יודע, את יודעת, אתה יודע. אבל בהחלט אפשר ללכת לפסטיבלים. Right, you can go to festivals. You can go to festivals. It doesn't mean that you need to be immoral. It doesn't mean you need to break any commandments. If you think that it's against the Torah to go to a festival, by all means don't go. I don't go, but I don't rule it out. On the other hand, if you think that you can enjoy music, if you can enjoy dancing, if you can enjoy that surrender to the moment and still keep your divinity, then maybe you can. Right? Maybe you, Susta, can't. I haven't, and I don't know. Look, it could very well be. There were times in my life I missed some really great festivals. I missed some festivals where my friends came back and said, "Oh my God, it was so much fun. It was like floating on a cloud. We met these people and those people, right? And acid and shrooms and MDMA and all that." And I'm saying, okay, I think personally, and I might be wrong, I think that if I would arrive at a festival and the Shabbos came in, and I wasn't at home with my family at the table and making kiddush on the bread, I think I would feel something is amiss. And if I don't have my Pardes Rimonim to read from, I think I would feel something is amiss. And if I'm trying to enjoy my Sabbath and become, and be one with my family and my spirituality and give that more of a place, and I'm hearing the I think it would kind of, hurt my ears a little bit, so to speak. So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, but there are plenty of people who consider themselves to be men and women of God and who still attend festivals. I simply don't, because I think it would go against the Sabbath. I think it would go against my personal experience of a proper holiday, right? On the other hand, I don't spend it in shul either. I don't go to synagogue anymore. I believe, I pray at home, I learn at home, I worship mainly at home. I mean, worship is something that you walk with and talk, and talk with. But you get what I'm saying, I hope. יש שם הפרדה, בוא נתחיל מזה, אפילו נדבר על הזמר or whatever. Okay, so he's asking, is there segregation of the sexes, right? Is it by genders? כנראה שלא, probably not. Which means that there's mixed dancing. And there are some people who say that that is completely unsneous, right? That is completely something immodest. And that because it is immodest, and because there is dancing there, of men and women together, it is by definition already something that is prohibited. Right, אני לא שומר הלכה קיצונית כבר. אני לא שומר הלכה אחד לאחד, all right? I don't keep strict halacha anymore, which is why I'm not ruling it out. Okay? Let's put it that way. But I don't go to parties. I was never a party individual. I don't go to festivals. I don't go to parties. But if there was a place where there would be dancing, and I would be feeling like I can partake of the dancing and still keep my divinity, okay? You know what? In the Talmud, azat tshuva lecha lo. Okay, so he says, okay, so if it's immodest, it already means no. Sababa. Sababa legamre. It's all good. You can think that. I can disagree. I disagree on general principle, even though I myself don't go to festivals, but I still disagree with what you're considering to say no. If you keep strict halacha, rabbinic law, definitely not. You may not attend festivals if you're keeping strict halacha because they are immodest. And just by virtue of that one thing, that already negates halacha, and so you may not go. On that we agree. Right. But there are degrees to which you could still keep halacha, still keep the Shabbat, still keep the Chagim, and end up at a festival. But again, I don't do it for those exact reasons, because I don't think it would truly feel like Shabbos. I don't think it would truly feel like a proper Chag, like a proper festival, if I was, like a proper Hebrew festival, if I was at a music festival. But I don't think that it rules it out completely. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you don't, maybe I do. Maybe you do. Are you against intermarriage? For myself, I am. I'm not. You know what? That's a good question. That's a very good question. Look, eventually, People should do what they want to do. People can do whatever they want to do. We have free will. I'm not going to gatekeep, okay? Am I against it? I didn't want it for me. I don't want it for my children. I think that we should marry within the tribes. However, I am of the opinion, right, that Edenic mindset, where eventually, at some point, all of the barriers will be taken down, all of the borders will be removed, we'll go back to being that one human family with no religions to separate us, no tongues, no cultures, no different ways of life, no war, right? We'll go back to Eden, partake of the fruit of the tree of life as humankind, the way we were originally in Eden, right? In Eden, there was no Israel and nations. In Eden, you didn't have all of this multiplicity of deities. In Eden, you didn't have the multiplicity of religions, of doctrines. You had a very simple way of being. That's what I'm shooting for. So despite me saying that that's what I'm shooting for, in the same breath, I'm saying we're not there yet. And for that reason, at this time, I suppose I am against interfaith marriages, intermarriage. Right, marrying non-Jews. I don't think that Jewish people should marry non-Jews. For myself, I'm saying this because I think that we should keep things within the tribes. It's also the way of the Torah. It's always been the way of the Torah. It's also why at the time of Ezra the scribe, there was that shift from religion going through the father, right, to going through the mother. And religion, I mean, you're being Jewish, being of Judah, of the tribes. It went from going through the father to going through the mother because the Hebrew people were taking foreign women. And so Ezra said, no. Take women of your own, take your own homegirls, take girls from the tribes of Israel. So now you will be forced to do it if you want your kids to be Jewish, right, to be part of the tribe and the kingdom of Judah. So, am I against it? It's difficult for me to say. I don't want to be so presumptuous, because that might seem like I'm gatekeeping. It might seem like I'm saying something is wrong. I knew it was wrong for me. I know that I always wanted to marry a Jew, a Jewette, and oh my God, what a lovely Jew I married. And I want the same thing for my kids. But I do understand those who want to intermarry. I just think that when you cut off that branch of yourself or your kids from the Hebrew faith and you lose that connection, the Hebrew connection, even though at the end we will all be one again, we're not there yet. And therein lies the rub, right? So I suppose if push comes to shove, I am against intermarriage. Then again, I'm not telling people what to do. I won't be like militantly, vehemently against, oh, you shouldn't, blah, 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 blah. None of that. I'm just trying to do my thing, right? I'm one simple dumbass in the Middle East. No more, no less. So far be it from me to say what people should do. Fascinating, Ezra changed this, says Isaac. Hi, Isaac Greenman. Although we say by a woman they're Jewish, does it truly change if the father was Jewish? Was there a biological change that instance? Ooh, pardon me. We say by a woman they're Jewish. Does it truly change if the father... Right, exactly. Ezra the scribe changed it like forever. Because now we have no Sanhedrin, and now we have no other right places to annul that or whatever. So it goes by the mother. If you're born to a Jewish father with a non-Jew mother, you are not Jewish. However, you can say that biblically before the time of Ezra, again, going back to previous times, you would be Jewish. So then it's a question of halakha versus the pre-Ezra the scribe, like let's say First Temple era, Tabernacle era Hebrew faith. I won't say Judaism because it wasn't the kingdom of Judah, right? If we're talking about the tabernacle, let's say it was a unified kingdom afterwards until it was torn apart. But at the time of Solomon, it was a temple, right? One temple in Jerusalem. It's interesting how, biblically speaking, before Ezra and Nehemiah's time, before the return from Babylon, it would be through the father. So to some degree, non-halachically, you could say, yes, you're a Jew. And on the other hand, halachically, you're not a Jew, because afterwards it changed. And it depends on the lens that you look at. But Orthodox religion, unequivocally, Orthodox rabbinic Judaism says, if you're not born, right, if you didn't come out from a Hebrew mother, you are not a Hebrew. You can convert, but you're not born into the tribes. Do you think God is the universe? I think it is that the universe is God. Well, I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me. One of the manifestations of God is through this physical creation and the physical universe. So it's a revelation of God, a manifestation of a facet of God, but not God. So no, I don't think God is the universe, right? God is the creator, unknowable, untouchable, unthinkable, unfathomable. The rule is if I can conceive of it, right? If I can have a conception of it, if I can get it somehow with one of my senses, if I can phrase it, if I can word it, if I can understand it, if I can in any such way make a connection, it's already not God, only a revelation of God. And therein lies the big difference, right? And some people would be against what I'm saying. I go with the Pardes Rimonim. I go with the teachings of the Ramak, Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, that says that no, there is always, always, always a difference between creator and creation. You could get really close when you manifest that image of God in which you were born, and you manifest it to such a degree that you truly are who you are meant to be, and you grow as close to the divine revelation as you can, you're still not understanding and knowing the Creator. You're knowing that thin veil that's in between, perhaps, like hugging the king who's still wearing a garment. Are you truly hugging the king? You would say, yes, of course you're hugging the king, but there's still a difference between you, and you don't truly know the mind and the inner consciousness of the king. In the very same way, you could be embracing that divine revelation and the garments that God clothes his revelation in, and nevertheless, you will never, ever, ever truly be God in the sense of knowing God and knowing that mind of God. That's what I go with. Some people disagree with me. This fool won't answer my question. He's just spazzing out. You're damn right I'm spazzing out, Jose, but I'm not reading your question because I'm busy answering a different question. It's not that I'm seeing the question and going, screw that guy. Not in the least. The chat is going really, really quickly, so I can't address every single question. That's just the way it is. I wish I could, and there were times when the chat had less people that I would go one by one. Anybody who is a regular on this live stream will tell you that until about, a couple of weeks ago when it started to get more traction, I used to go, and for years I'm talking now, every chat, line by line, sometimes going back in a live stream to a previous live stream to complete the chat from that live stream. And so I definitely do. I definitely do value. I value every single chat that comes in, but I can't address every single question as it comes in. As for being a fool, you are damn right. I am not only a fool, I am a fool's fool. Definitely a fool. Quit drugs, man. I did, actually. You are pretty chill. I try to be. There are times when I'm less chill. There are times when I get angry. There are times when I raise my voice. There are times when I fly off the handle a bit. But I do try, and that's why I'm back in therapy, to work on my communication, work on any anger issues I have, work on my ego. It all comes from ego, me, mine, now, my expectations of reality. It's supposed to be like this, and it's not supposed to be like that. It's all ego. And I'm seeking through, Torah and commandments and through living life properly to the best of my ability, which is not much, and now again through therapy. I went back to therapy a month ago. It's been really great. I've had 4 sessions so far. This time I'm doing it digitally, which I've never done before. I haven't been to a therapist in 10 years. I'm really, really enjoying it. I have such a good vibe with my therapist. She even subscribed to the channel. Why are you so cool? I could be cooler. Much love. You've changed a lot of the way I've thought about things. Thank you. You know what? We are all changing. Part of what the human mind and brain is malleable. There's a plasticity and a flexibility to the human mind. And it's there for a reason, right? It's there so we will be able to get into the depths of things and maybe change our minds about things. And it's not even just about like plain dry fact. It has to do with feelings, and it has to do with the way that we view the world. We each have our own unique lens, our own glasses from which we view the world. We're trying to refine and gain clarity and discernment and balance so we don't go astray. And this is a process that over time only manifests itself. Right? You can't study calculus without studying subtraction and addition and multiplication. It's like you need to take it step by step, and through the steps, you're able to gain more clarity, more refinement, more nuance. This world is so flexible. If there's one thing I've learned through the study of the Tree of Life, is that this world is so, so flexible, and it starts and ends with you, because there's no other you. There's literally nobody else who can do what you do. If you manifest that image of God in which you were born, that specific you, if you bring your name, let's say, into the fold, truly, and spend your life to find out exactly who you could be. What is it that you could do for your benefit, for the benefit of others? What does it mean? What is the meaning of it all? That's part of what we're here for. And that means sometimes changing your mind, and it means remaining flexible. Now, somebody told me a long time ago, and I've mentioned this, he said, you're pretty open-minded, he said, but don't be so open-minded that your brain falls out completely. And I mean, I agree and I disagree. Because what do I know, right? It says in the book of Proverbs that you're not supposed to lean on your own wisdom. You're not supposed to, as Bob Marley said, only a fool leans on his own misunderstanding, right? So I try not to lean on my own understanding too much and keep open. I try not to lean on my own misunderstandings, there are plenty of those too. I try to keep it open, but this is where Torah and commandments come into the picture, because they keep you on a path of righteousness. They keep you on a path that is narrow but straight. There are many things you can't do, but that only clears the path, right? That only clears the path further. And and sometimes it's difficult and challenging, and so it should be, because greatness takes time. Great things take time. Great things don't happen overnight. And to figure out who you are and what it is that you're supposed to be doing in this life, that is a matter of greatness, not of ego, not a holier-than-thou thing. You with yourself. Who am I? What the hell is this? These are all just questions which people ask on a regular basis, and the Torah says, if you're of the Hebrew people, here is a way, here is a path. Take on the discipline, take on the burden, shoulder that yoke of Torah and commandments, and find out who you are and what it is that you're supposed to be doing. This is a hippie kind conversation, asks Leo Barry Blanco. Yeah, it is. To be hip literally means to be aware, right? I'm hip to the fact, to this or that. What Kramer said, I'm hip to the whole scene. To be hip is to be aware. Part of what the Torah does is to help you cultivate and expand your awareness. The Torah is a psychedelic substance. The Torah is a psychedelic text. If you dose enough on it, it will expand your mind. You just need to do it with the proper set and setting inside, right? And that's what the commandments are for. They're there to say, do this and don't do that, and here's a path to walk. You don't need a therapist. No, I definitely do. I definitely do need a therapist, at least for a while. I don't think, look, last time I went to therapy was for 3 years back in film school, because it was so cheap. It was subsidized through the student union or whatever. I got it real cheap, and I had my firstborn was just born, and we were going through so much in the marriage and being parents for the first time. It was chaos. So I felt I really needed to talk to somebody. Up until that point, I'd say, I don't need a therapist, I have Hitbodedut. I have the spontaneous dialogue between me and the Most High Hebrew God. I don't need a therapist. God is my shrink. I am my own shrink. But then when the kid was born, and different things came to the surface between me and my woman, I was like, okay, I gotta talk to somebody. I went for 3 years then. It really, really helped. If you are called to therapy, try to do it, because it really can be life-changing. The rule is, you can't just go. You need to go and put in the work. That's what you do with therapy. I say that. What do I know? But that's what I did, and that's what I'm setting out to do now. So I've been there for a month. It's really great. I really like my therapist. She is awesome. She really is awesome. You're crazy, says Marcus. You're damn right I'm crazy. What, am I going to be normal? What benefit is that to anybody? We all need a therapist. Yeah, to some degree, we all need a therapist. We all need therapy, right? We all need therapeutic practices, whether it's a professional, whether it's a rabbi or a pastor, whether it's a close friend who is like truly part of your being. But we need people to help us. We can't do it all on our own, right? Just like the commandments themselves. One person alone cannot perform all of them. Some are for men and some are for women. Some are for kings and some are for priests and some are for prophets and some are for Nazarites. One person alone cannot do this. This is also why we have the idea of the minyan, of the congregation, of the collective, which means that together you are much stronger than individuals. Together, one person can make right what another person may have made wrong. So when you come together, there is a wholeness and a completeness to a congregation that will never exist truly among the sinning individual. Because we all miss the mark in some things, but together there's a completeness and a wholeness to it. That is the power of the congregation. That is the power of a minyan. That is the power of the collective. And I'm saying this as somebody who doesn't go to shul anymore. I say this as somebody who walks a kind of a loner path. in some way, in many ways, maybe. So yeah, we all need a therapist. Not everybody might need a professional, mind you, but we all need therapy. We all need therapeutic elements in our lives because life is frickin' hard. So you need a self-care routine of some kind. That's what Shabbos is for. At least once a week, unplug, turn off the screens. You don't go to work. Stay at home, learn Torah, have meals with the family, sing songs, partake of wine and meat if that's what you're into, and just be. Just be with no place to go, nothing to do. Everything was already made in the 6 days of labor, and now you get to enjoy the fruit once a week. We have a day, a festival once a week, speaking of festivals. Once a week, we unplug everything, and we just take that dopamine, that dopamine fast, and we're able to rebalance and realign. The Shabbos is a covenant of such immense significance. It's unbelievable. It really is an unbelievable covenant of Shabbos. Stefan Iremaya says, what do you think about how some think the covenant is broken? Well, we broke the covenant, but the covenant is not broken. The covenant is awaiting for us to return, to make tshuva, to repent, right? What does God say throughout the Torah and the prophets? It's like if you break the covenant, there will be plagues, and there will be pestilence, and there will be hunger, and there will be enemies, and eventually, if you don't get your act together, you will be kicked out. You will be slaves in lands that you have never known, with tongues that you do not speak. And even after all, you will never be eliminated. And if you repent, and if you make tshuva, if you return to the path of righteousness, Torah, and commandments, you will return to the land, or vice versa. Return to the land, and then, right, build a physical vessel, and the spiritual substance will be placed inside of it if you're doing it with the right mindset. Now, growth can come from love, and growth can come from suffering. And right now, we are building that vessel through suffering. The state of Israel, as it's known, right? We're building that physical vessel through suffering and hardship. But eventually, just like Ezekiel and the dry bones, the body will stand complete, and the spirit will be called to come into it. Hopefully. Okay, let's continue. I am loving this so much, good people. There's no true way that I can express what this dialogue does for me every time. Every single time I go live, I press that, end now or whatever button. I press that X over here, and there's just this feeling of wonder and awe. It's not something that I take for granted, that you good people are here with me every time. And it's not something that I take for granted that you're listening to my rants and rambles and raves and blah, blah, blahs. It's so much fun to engage with you. I don't take it for granted that you're taking time out of your day, out of your life, out of your busy schedule to be here with me, those watching now, those watching later. And the subs, the likes, the views, the comments, the chats, the haters, the lovers, the trolls, whatever it is. I welcome it all. I embrace it. I embrace this connection. And this is why I love to go live. It's raw. I'm coming at you right now on some pixelated screen, but over here on my side, I'm just a person trying to make a connection. And being able to do that through the internet. I mean, I make connections with people in life, of course, and I have interpersonal connections with others personally, but this is something else. This is something unique. Not that I'm unique in doing it. Many people are live streaming right now at this very moment, but we are here. And that's what makes us different than everybody else that has ever lived, ever in creation. All of the multiple billions of people that have ever walked the earth, many of them have never done this. And we get to do this. And it's no small thing. It's a veritable wonder, and I am thankful to the Most High God and grateful that I get to partake in this with you. On that note, it's almost 1 a.m., and I'm going to say goodnight from Jerusalem. This has been so much fun, I can't even describe it. It's an amazing thing. I hope I was of some value. I hope I was of some entertainment. I hope that I made you laugh maybe occasionally, or, a fart slipped out because you were busy laughing. It happens. At any rate, I'll see you maybe tomorrow, maybe on Saturday night, or maybe if it'll be a busy Shabbos and preparations for Shabbos on Sunday. Whenever it next happens, I'll try and give notice. I can't always do it. When you have small kids, that's what happens. So I hope you'll join me next time for another live stream. I'm so glad. Let's see, before I go, let's see the final poll. The final tally, 564 votes. Will the kids cause me to end the live stream? 29% said yes. You were wrong. No, 25%. You were right. Who gives a flying fart? 18%. You were also right. And who gives a rat's ass? 28%. You were also correct. So the only ones who were incorrect were the ones who said yes. I'm sorry, did I get that wrong with the yes and the no? Those who said yes are, okay, so more votes are coming in. People, before I go, please, everybody right now, vote for who gives a flying fart. Farts mean something, people. Fart proudly. Well, who said that? Was it Benjamin Franklin who wrote the essay Fart Proudly? Yeah, I think so. I think it was Benjamin. Oh, somebody. Was it president, vice president? Who was it? Who was it? Who was it? I think it was Franklin. Somebody then at the time who wrote the essay Fart Proudly. Indeed. Fart proudly, fart often, it's healthy. If it happens too much, or if it's too noxious, go see a guy, alright? Take care of yourself physically, mentally, spiritually. I will see you next time for another, hopefully, groovy live stream. Until then, if I don't see you before Shabbos, have a wonderful weekend, a beautiful and bountiful new year to those who celebrate the Gregorian New Year. It's a time for renewal, it's a time for regeneration and all that good stuff. Don't take on too many New Year's resolutions. Focus on one thing, even if it's small, and go all in on that. And watch, see what happens. And if you fail, keep going. Keep going. If it's the gym, if it's a diet, if I don't know what, keep going. Do your thing. Manifest yourself to the best of your ability. I'll see you next time at some point. God bless. Thanks again. Good night from Zion.